Well, Tofik Abdul Nasir now joins me on the security meeting with some presidents there. Well, good to have you join me quickly here. Head of governments and international organizations are already in Dakar for the International Forum on Peace and Security. Can you let us in on what the main focus of the discussion has been?
All right. Good evening to you, and good evening to all your viewers. Okay, so talk about the Dakar International Forum. This is the seventh edition, actually, and then this year's own was is focusing on COVID-19 pandemic, the outbreak, the impact it had on Africa, and how it is recovering. Mostly this particular forum is supposed to address security issues, especially that is affected by some of the African countries and most especially the Sahel region. But this time around, I think the COVID-19 pandemic and some of the restrictions that has been placed on the African countries is something that was really discussed today. With Ramaphosa, we all know what happened, how the Omicron, the new variant, was discovered in South Africa, where they announced and restrictions was placed on them and other 7 countries not to enter Europe. Right. So he was actually disappointed. He really expressed his disappointment on the fact that why do we have people who call us partners, and in terms of trouble, they turn their back on us? It is not done. He said, this is the time that Africa should rise up and come together and create their own vaccine. And he's very happy that the Institut de Pasteur, which is in Dakar, is coming up with such idea. They are coming up with such initiative that he called on all African countries to actually support, so that they can also build and then create their own vaccine, which can be used.
Well, quickly here, Abdul Nasir, away from some of the key issues now, we understand that COVID-19 is one of the key things discussed, as highlighted by you. But again, looking at the concerns of these heads of government, specifically Mr. Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, what's the resolve now, knowing that Europe and some of the countries are shutting its doors against the continent?
So that is, I really like that question, because it was something that actually came up because President Ramaphosa actually said when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world, we were all affected. These are people who call them partners, but when it was time for them to distribute the vaccines, they actually hoarded a larger amount that they don't even need, whilst Africa was left to suffer during that era. And still, some African countries are still struggling to get the vaccines, which they don't even need. So he didn't see he doesn't know why they are doing that, because if you say somebody is your partner, you always stand in for them. Whenever there is trouble, you don't turn your back against them. That is why he emphasized on African countries coming together to create a vaccine so that they don't have to fall on these people. And he even went ahead to say that they have actually deviated from the meeting they just had from COP26, that they were going to support them. And all of a sudden, now it is not even about the support, but they are being discriminated. They are being, a ban has been placed on them not to enter some countries just because they have given the report of the new Omicron. And he said, look, they are trying to be honest. This is something that they told them, but before they realized, they broadcast it to the world. So in a nutshell, what I understand by that is that it looks like it was not supposed to be broadcast yet, but all of a sudden, it's because he said after the meeting, the next thing they saw was it was broadcast outside, and the travel restrictions was just placed on them and some other African countries.
Well, Abdul, before I let you go, now you're a journalist. So what have you been able to gather concerning the actions of some of the European countries against Africa on the new Omicron variant?
Okay, so when you look at how this whole thing started, it came, you realize that it was South Africa that announced it first, but later we realized that other countries already have it. So in this case, it looks like it is something that is already there. We can't even tell. Today, I was discussing with a colleague and I said, look, this Omicron variant, it is possible that it even emerged from the European countries or the American countries, which also came to Africa, because anytime there is something in the world, Africa is being blamed for that. And Africa is the one that is being restricted from entering, because when you look at reports, you realize that Germany, after placing all those restrictions on the African countries, they are actually evacuating their people who are living in those countries back to their country. So this is where the discrimination comes in. We are supposed to look at how are we going to resolve this issue? How are we going to take care of people who have already contracted this disease? But then we are looking at how we can separate our people, which makes us feel like, okay, Africa, okay, they are Africans, let them be on their own. Let's get our people, let's save them, and then leave these people to die. Meanwhile, it is also reported that some European countries and American countries have already recorded this Omicron. So on my opinion, I think I side with what Ramaphosa is saying. If we say we are partners, we should be there for each other. We should stand by each other in terms like this.
Well, Tofik Abdul Nasir, many thanks for unpacking this for us.